In this unit, we're going to look at where does that energy come from? Why does producing energy produce so much carbon dioxide? And how we measure up compared to the rest of the world, and that sort of issue about how we as consumers of energy can make conscious decisions to limit the amount of energy that we individually use. So that's the big idea in this chapter. But before we get started, we're going to have to do a little bit of a review for stoichiometry. Okay. So we looked at a very similar diagram way back in August when we first started this course. We looked at nuclear power, and we looked at how because a nuclear reaction gives off heat energy, we can harness that energy and transform it into different forms of energy to generate electrical power. And so here we are back again looking at a power plant, because this is what keeps the world as we know it here in the United States running. And so what we see here is that there's some source of heat energy that heats water, which causes it to boil in this thing called a boiler, and then we generate different types of energy, which ends up generating electrical energy. So what we want to be able to do is quantitate, for example, how much fuel we need to burn on this end to generate the amount of electricity that we need on this end. And so that's what we're going to be looking at. But before we get into that, we need to take a couple steps back and just make sure everybody remembers their reaction stoichiometry, because it's through the reaction stoichiometry that we can quantitate the amount of material that we produce in a chemical change, and then also the amount of energy that we produce. So we want to be able to ultimately quantitate the energy, but in order to do that, we have to recognize that we can also quantitate the matter, and through that, quantitate the amount of energy that's produced. Okay, so let's take a few steps back and review our reaction stoichiometry.